Good day everyone, I'm Jeff and in this video, we'll be discussing about writing functions, exceptions, timings, and visibility using our language. First, let's define what is functions. Functions allows you to reuse a chunk of code without endlessly copying and pasting. It also allows other users to use your functions to carry out the same computations on their own data or objects. The basic syntax of an R function definition is as follows. We have our function name, the arguments, and the function body inside the curly braces. Function components. Function name, this is the actual name of the function. It is stored in our environment as an object with this name. Arguments. An argument is a placeholder. When a function is invoked, you pass a value to the argument. Arguments are optional. That is, a function may contain no arguments. Also, arguments can have default values. Function body. The function body contains a collection of statements that defines what the function does. Return value. The return value of a function is the last expression in the function body to be evaluated. Built-in functions. We have some built-in functions that mostly use in our language. These are the sequence, min, max, and sum. Let's see an example. This is a sample code on how to use sequence functions by printing a sequence from 1 to 100. Inside the print, we include the sequence function with arguments of 1 and 100. And there we have it, a sequence of 1 to 100. Here is another example of built-in function by using min. This is a min sample program finding min from 25 to 82. And now we got the result of 53.5. Now, let's create our own function. In this video, we created a program checking if the numbers is positive, 0, or negative using function. we created a function named checkin. Here we put our values. Inside of a function, we created a conditional statement if num is more than 0, is positive, a 0, and else if an integer is a negative number. Here's the negative number result, a positive, let's try if we put 0, and we get the 0 result. Now let's also try functions without arguments. We're going to create a function that loops a number from 1 to 100. And here is the result. We can also repeat the loop with creating another code. We just have to recall the displayX function. And here we have a double 10 loops on our result. Now, let's proceed to exceptions. What is exception? Exception is a process of responding to the occurrence of exceptions, anomalous or exceptional conditions requiring special processing during the execution of a program. The execution of an R script can be interrupted to signal special states conditions like errors, warnings, info messages, and if user requested interrupts by hitting Ctrl C, break, or escape. Here is an example of an exceptions by using a warning, info message, and stop message that will interrupt program if an error occurred. and we have our result. There will be a warning message. This is a warning message. Message info, and a stop message that will halt the execution. Now we'll go to timings. Timings keep track of progress or see how long a certain task to complete. These are the functions we're going to use on executing timings. System time returns the system's idea of the current date and without time. Sys.sleep. These functions allow R to temporarily be given very low priority and hence not to interfere with more important foreground tasks. A typical use is to allow a process launch from R to set itself up and read its input files before R execution is resumed. Text progress bar. Display a progress bar on the R console or a connection via text representation. In this video, we're going to create a program that we are going to use these functions. System time is used to output date and time. Sysdate is used to display date only. Be careful on writing those syntax as this function is case sensitive. Here we see that we encountered an error if we put an incorrect syntax. Now let's clear our screen. Now we're going to input a sequence of 1 to 100,000 to our variable sec and time function inside the time variable. Now our loops and functions that does an iteration put the system to sleep for seconds. And now we're going to subtract the system to our previous time variable to get our interval time. Our time difference is 50 seconds. Now we're going to display a progress bar. we're going to input again our system time. We need a for loop or sequence and put again our system sleep function. And there we have our progress bar. Visibility. Masking. One object or function will take precedence over the other and assume the object or function name, while the mask function must be called with an additional command. This, this protects objects from overwriting or blocking one another. You can see the current search path by executing a search function. Let's try it in our console. When R searches the function or object that falls closest to the start of the search path or the global environment is reached first and masks the function or object of the same name that occurs somewhere later in the search path. Now, we're going to create a program first that will use a built-in sum functions to get the sum of numbers. We have the output of 8.5. Next, let's create a same name function with added process of loop. Now we're going to use the sum function again. Now we see that the output changed on sum function that now has become 27.5 based on our last added function. This happens because the user-defined function is stored in the global environment, or global env, which always comes first in the search path. Our built-in function is part of the base package, which comes at the end of the search path. We can still use our built-in function by adding a base upon calling of our function. Now, we now have the output of 8.5. We can also remove our created function sum by using rm function. And we can now call the built-in function sum without using base. And that's it for our tutorial video. Thank you for watching and I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.